Connor, I'm going to throw it over to you. Can you break down the Gio Reyna situation for me?
No, I cannot.
All right, let me change that. Connor, break down the Gio Reyna situation for me.
I don't have all the facts in front of me. I just got home.
Just tell me what happened.
I don't know, something about Gio. He's the coach of the team now. I think Greg is like on his way to Norway again or something like that. I guess just to put it in simple terms, uh, there were rumors about like half the team was unhappy with Gio because he wasn't putting any effort into training. He was just kind of half-assing it. And then I think that I don't know if it was later revealed or if it was revealed at the same time that it was as a result of Greg telling him that he was going to have like a limited role with the team in the World Cup. So there was a lot of like, I guess, obviously he didn't react well to that, kind of slacked off in training. And I think Greg even said that they had a vote as to whether or not they were going to send him home. Ultimately, he ended up staying, obviously, but uh, causing a lot of controversy within the team and the fan base as well. Like, I mean, it's just it feels like it's such an unnecessary rift between the team right now.
Yeah, it's, you hit a lot of good points there, right? He came in, he was told that he was going to be a rotation player at best because of his injury history and all this stuff. He took it like a 19-year-old kid would, threw a fit, and decided that he was too good for this and started walking around training. And the players called him out on it. They tried to get him back in line. I've heard that vote didn't actually happen. I think it was more between the coaching staff versus the players,
Mm-hmm.
but it was quite clear that they had a falling out. And then he posted something later on. I think it was yesterday that said, listen, I let my emotion get better of myself, blah, blah, blah. He apologized for it. And I think he's on better terms now. But I want to turn it to our guest and ask you, Jason, what are your takes on this? What do you think this means for the chemistry of the team, the future, things like
It's just a lose-lose situation all around for it to come out like the way it did. I mean, it kind of just smells like Greg's out, like the sketchy way how it came out, like he said, like, oh, it was supposed to be an off the record interview, but come on, there's really no such thing as an off the record interview. Or so, like, basically him coming out and saying that outside the locker room kind of is like, he's trying to win some points
that? Yep.
somewhere, and it kind of backfired on him, I think. But at the end of the day, it also makes Gio look bad. I mean, we were all kind of questioning what happened. We kind of have a little bit better understanding now. Um, I feel bad that he's kind of like something that kind of happened in the locker room, kind of has gotten out a little bit, but he's taking a little bit of ownership. But it's a bad look for him. You even though he's 20, and I've said some probably worse things when I was 20, but he's a professional, and he has to be better, and he can't let that control the way he trains. I mean, I understand that he felt that way, but you have to do better. You're part of a team. This is a once in a 4-year opportunity, and instead of training hard, he kind of just blew it. But I'm surprised that no one else in the team has said anything. I mean, I guess that's a good thing. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'd be a little bit more concerned if, you know, Jordan Morris kind of came out on Twitter and was like, "Man, Gio Reyna stinks. Like, get this guy off the USMNT roster." Like, I don't know. I know it's not gonna happen, and I'm kind of glad it's not. But I'm hoping this kind of just simmers down, and we can go back to worrying about, the team itself.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think you brought up a lot of good points, and the fact that the team isn't going in and just slandering him, I think means that his future is still there. He can fix this, which is a positive thought. But you're right, he has to be better. And you mentioned, right, like once in a 4-year opportunity. This isn't another game or another World Cup or another year. You don't know, especially with your injury history, you don't know if you're around in 26, you know?
Yeah.
So you can't walk around and be like, I'm too good for this, and with a new manager, he'll get it. If you get called in, because a lot of people who deserve to be called in were not. If you get called in, you put every ounce of energy every single day into being the best player you can be, period. if not for you to play, for your teammates to get better. The fact that he was putting his own playing time and ego, for lack of a better term, over the betterment of the team and the betterment of the players who were in front of him is a massive issue. I think that he resolved things a little bit when he took ownership, which was good. But it's not like, oh, he apologized, he's back in. He's got mountains to climb. Mountains. Because this is not just a, yeah, sorry guys, I messed up. I mean, I'm not saying he cost us a chance at moving through. Like, we weren't beating Netherlands anyway, but you never know. You never know what he could have done if he gave everything,
You also have to think, we're also, how long ago was it? Like maybe less than a year ago, Weston McKennie was called to be, doing something unforgivable. And I mean, look, he's back in the team. I mean,
Yeah.
quote unquote unforgivable from USMNT legend. So I mean, I think this is going to be water under the bridge in like months, like especially once there's a new manager.
Mm-hmm. Connor, your thoughts? You've been quiet over there.
Yeah, I was doing a little research behind the scenes just because I know you were talking about him taking a spot from other people on this team. And first person I thought of, and I know people aren't going to like this comparison because, yes, I recognize this guy is not as good as Gio Reyna talent-wise, but that's a spot Paul Arriola could have had.
Yes.
Paul Arriola works his butt off. This was likely his one shot at a World Cup. And, Gio, I mean, realistically, he should have had Jordan Morris's spot. I think most of us can agree on that. But if Gio's just going to show up and like not try, then that could have been a Paul Arriola spot who's going to, maybe he gets like 7 minutes like Jordan Morris did, but I'm sure he would cherish those 7 minutes way more than Gio did. And he would work hard in training, make his teammates better, bring a good spirit to the locker room. So, yeah, I 100% agree with you, though. Like, if you're going to do that, then just don't show up. It's like, just don't come to the camp. Like, I'm thinking about other guys, too, even guys that got called in, like Walker Zimmerman. That's most likely his one and only World Cup. That was his one shot. And to have like Gio not really like trying is definitely like, if I'm Walker Zimmerman, I'd be upset about that. Like, even if it's not going to most likely impact him to the point where it's like, oh yeah, Gio like lost us the game or like made me so much worse in training. But it's just disheartening to see when everybody else is trying at their best.
And here's the thing, right? Gio Reyna, he got 52 minutes in 2 different sub appearances, right? He wasn't a world beater when he stepped on the field. He didn't look phenomenal. I mean, a lot of us thought he was hurt. He might have been. He might have been holding a knock, right? But you're telling me that if I put Paul Arriola there, he's not pressing somebody to the point where they lose the ball at least once. Gio didn't dispossess. I'm almost certain he didn't win a single defensive battle. There's not a defensive stat on WhoScored.com for the 52 minutes he played. So you're telling me that if I put Paul Arriola in there for 52 minutes, he wouldn't do something in the attacking third to win a ball back for us? Gio comes in and plays properly. I think he does better for us. But you're right. Paul Arriola would have done better than Gio Reyna in that spot in this scenario.
Yeah, I don't even think that Paul is necessary. I don't even think that Paul would necessarily even like come in and raise the level that Gio was at. But I just think that I just think he would give a bit more effort. Or like, and maybe it was because Gio was hurt. I don't want to like lay into Gio too much because I think, like Jason said, it'll be water under the bridge in no time and people will forget about it and move on. And I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally on board with it. Just kind of like moving on, take it as a learning moment and just continue to grow and prep for 2026. But I also I want to recognize that I don't like the fact that Greg also had to like put it out there. And I know Jason said it was supposed to be like an off the record interview, which like seems like a kind of an ironic statement in itself. Because what is an off the record interview? It just sounds like a conversation.
It's just a conversation between buddies.
Like I wouldn't. it just doesn't seem like anything that needs to be brought up like at any point with any. I mean, you're talking to a reporter, whether it's on the record or off the record. Why even chance it? Just seems kind of dumb to put that out there and cause that drama in the team.
Yeah, and you also have to think what if Greg handled this situation differently from the start? Like, I mean, if Gio was really hurt in the beginning, then why do we? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, why did he have to say, "All right, Gio, yeah, you're getting called up to World Cup, but you're going to be limited." So, I mean, I feel like that's kind of like a slap to the face to someone who's been injury. He worked pretty. I think he was back for like a month with Dortmund playing limited time. Trying to work back up. And, getting ready for the World Cup is a big deal. So I don't like the way he reacted to the news of just not trying. I feel like we all like to think that we would do our best no matter what the situation is. But I also think that's just a slap in the face to someone who's working hard from injuries. If he was healthy, then I don't see why he would get labeled a limited role. I would think he would be someone who's pretty significant in the team that scored 3 goals in 4 games. So I don't know. I just think Greg handled this very poorly. It's not the first player that he's mishandled who's, gotten a sour taste from Greg. And I'm sure once Greg is no longer with the national team, we'll find out more stuff. But he's definitely like this off the record interview is gonna look so bad in the clubhouse. There's no way he can come back.
Well, here's the my take on that is you couldn't not take Gio. If you took Jordan Morris and Paul Arriola and left Gio Reyna home without knowing, without the
Streets would be
world,
burning.
without knowing the entire like last month, he hasn't stepped foot on a pitch. Connor's right. Everything in America would be on the ground. I mean, you had to take it, but he also had to understand. Like I said, I know Connor said he didn't want to harp on Gio, right? But too often players get away with stuff like this in America because it's not the main sport, right? If a football player did this, or LeBron James did something like this, the ESPN talks about it for 3 weeks, right? And this is a conversation that's been brought up in football social media for a while now is being harsher on players who step out of line because anywhere else they would have gotten it and heard it for a long time. He had to handle this better. I agree. Greg didn't handle this well at all. In terms of saying things to people he probably shouldn't have said things to. But this isn't a Greg fault. I think Gio starts this. Greg shouldn't have shared it. They're both equally at fault, I think. But it leads me to my question, and Jason kind of hinted on this. We talked about how Gio can recover from this. He's young. My personal opinion, and I'll let you guys comment on this before I ask the question, is if we miss out on a generational talent like Gio Reyna for something like this, it is the exact reason we will never be a competitive football country comparative to the Englands, the Frances, what have you, because we don't have the depth right now to do something like that. It's not like France when they left Karim Benzema or Nicolas Anelka home and had 400 other players who were equally as good. We've got Gio Reyna. That's it. So my personal opinion is we can't miss out on Gio Reyna. Your thoughts?
So yeah, I mean, look at what happened with this Morocco team making a huge run in the World Cup. They fired their manager because Ziyech was not happy with him, and he retired from international football. And now look where they are. They're in the semifinals in the World Cup. I'm not saying that's going to happen if we fire Greg and Gio gets put into a starting role at the World Cup. I wish that would happen, but we're not there yet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, you just Greg. We all want Greg gone. Let's get that out in the air.
That was going to be my question: is can Greg recover, and do we want him to recover?
No, no, thanks,
Connor.
But we can't have a mediocre manager, ruin talent like this. It's plain and simple. Like Gio messed up, but you also can't turn away guys like Gio. Like
Yep.
This is superstar possible talent. Like, get him back. Do what you need to do.
100%.
Yeah, I think Gio will be fine. I think there's a long cool down period here before the U.S. national team has anything else going on. People are gonna forget about it. People have the memory of a goldfish nowadays, and it will be water under the bridge, just like the Weston McKennie thing was. I don't think it's as it's just something that I think is bad press at the time for him and Greg, but it will move on. People will move on. People, honestly, I don't even think it really changed anything because the people that love Gio are just on Gio's side, and the people that love, or I guess we're fine with Greg, are probably on Greg's side. So I guess to kind of touch on your point on Greg, I feel like it didn't really change a ton on him because I think if you supported Greg, which is probably a minority, but you probably still support Greg. And if you hated Greg, then it's not like this made you hate him more. You already probably hated him a ton. So I don't really think it ended up changing much. And I think this will all be like blown over within a month.
Yeah. First of all, I like Ted Lasso reference. Very nice. Second of all, I like how you really hesitated on saying how many people enjoy Greg Berhalter, because that's also true.
I had to count it on my fingers first.
Yeah. um, I was hoping you'd bring up something that you mentioned in a former episode that we did, and the fact that we've got all these players playing at this high international level, uh, in Europe, in Germany, and we've got a bang average MLS manager as a national team coach. And that is the biggest issue. And that's what I've told a lot of people. I had a good conversation with my head coach, who is from England, about our team. And Greg has done a great job since 2018 to do the job that was asked of him, which was very simply 2018 never happens again. Whatever you have to do, it doesn't matter who you bring in, it doesn't matter who you use. This team qualifies. That is your job. You get out of the group, great. He has instilled that mindset and that fighting heart to say, we will get through whatever issues that we have just based off of pure heart. I mean, look at Tyler Adams, all of his recovery runs. Yes, he had a not so great game against the Netherlands. We acknowledge that, but he's also the reason that England didn't beat us. He's the reason we probably should have beaten England, really. That being said, to become competitive with the Argentinas, the Brazils, the England, the France, the Moroccos, because I'm throwing them in there now because they're going to the final and they're going to put a silver medal on Messi's neck. That's right. You heard it here first. To compete with those teams, you don't rely solely on heart and determination. You need to have a bit of talent and technical ability in the attacking third. We only conceded one goal in group play. It was great. It was off a penalty. Hooray, hooray. We also only scored two. Like two. Yeah. 1-0, 0-0, 1-1. That doesn't cut, and it was quite clear that that doesn't cut it against the big boys. Yeah, you can't have 2 shots on goal a game and compete, especially with the talent that we have. You've got Tim Way, you've got Christian Pulisic, you've got Gio Reyna when he's ready to play, you've got Weston McKennie, you've got Yunus Musa, you've got Jordan Morris. Sorry, I needed to throw that in there. But listen, you've got too much talent in the attacking third to be to put a bang average coach with them, because and this is the analogy that I used is our coach's knowledge level is here. All of his ideas are at this level, where our players are playing at this level. And it's great because he can use his tactical knowledge to get a little bit closer and then just say, we're going to fight and we're going to, we're never going to quit. But once you get out of the group and you play teams that have a tactical understanding of the game, you need to be able to adjust. And he doesn't have that. I think Louis van Gaal said it great is the U.S. just never changed what they were doing. So we just kept doing what we wanted to do. And it worked. And that's the biggest issue. The issue isn't the fact that he hasn't been the best manager that any of us has seen in however many years we've been following this game. Excuse me. The issue is when it comes to playing the big guys, he doesn't have the tactical knowledge to adjust, and that's why he's got to go.
It's like his team selection. He's very stubborn on some of the players that he has favoritism for. That's why Christian Ronaldo was on the World Cup team when he really shouldn't have been.
That's why Aaron Long was on the World Cup team when he shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
I'll say that right now. Everybody knows he shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
No matter how much I want to defend him. Shaq Moore. What's Shaq Moore doing? You know? Reggie Cannon's playing the entire, build up to this World Cup. He played in like 6 different games. Shaq Moore was casted out after one bad Gold Cup performance. Haji Wright, same deal. And they're both just brought in last minute, like, ho, I got you.
Yeah. No, and you leave Pepe at home.
You leave Pepe at home. You leave Reggie Cannon at home. And again, it's not because, Shaq Moore is playing in MLS. Sorry, it was the fact that he hadn't played with us in 2 months, 3 months. And we talked about it. We talked about this a lot as we were building up to this. Was the players who know the system are going to be picked over the players who are in okay form. You need to be in killer form to be brought in if you don't know the system. Shaq Moore wasn't in killer form to be brought in if you don't know the system.
Can't disagree with you.
All right. Anything else anybody wants to add, or shall we move on? We did kill this topic a little bit.
Tim Ream was in killer form.
Oh, yes,
he was.
Please. What a guy.
A legend.
Yeah, he being the only guy over 30 on that roster, phenomenal.
Second best center back in the world right now.
Behind who?
Walker Zimmerman.
Harry Sutar.
Thank you. I needed that. Really quick before we move on. Quick, if you can, off the top of your head, and you might not be able to. Give me your starting 11, 2026 right now.
Ooh. I'll go first. I would say I'm going to be optimistic with this lineup. I'm going to say Slanina in goal. I'm going to say Anthony Robinson on the left back. Center backs, I'm going to say Chris Richards and Miles Robinson. Right back, I'm going to say, and I'm open to changing out the center back pair. The center backs are going to be totally dependent on who's in form. Like CCV could be in that mix as well. Right back, Serginho Dest. That's an easy one. Midfield does not change. Adams, McKennie, Musa. And front three, I think you find a way to get Pulisic, Reyna together in the attack. And I would say Pepe as striker.
Nice. Jason, you got it? You need a little bit of time.
I mean, most of mine will be the same. I was going to say Cameron Carter-Vickers, and I would say I haven't seen enough of Chris Richards to know if he's going to be good in 4 years or not. So I'm going to say take him out for now. I really liked what I saw from Miles Robinson from the time I watched USMNT, so I think hopefully he recovers pretty well off of that Achilles tendon repair. That's tough to come back from. Aaron Long can constitute to that. Anyway, sorry, had to throw that out there. Keep MMA the same, and then I agree with Connor. You have to find a way to get Gio in there. It's so tough because I want to put Brendan Aronson in there too because he brings something different to that wing pair, and I want to keep Tim Way in there. But I also want Pepe at striker. I think Pepe's got it. And I think by then, if he gets back to Bundesliga or some other team picks him back up in the next, I think Pepe will be at striker. I like that.
I like that too. For me, I've got Luis Robles comes out of retirement to play in goal.
I knew it. I was literally about to say he's gonna be like Zach McMath in goal.
Had to make up for dishing out some Aaron Long justice.
Stefan Fry gets his long-awaited USMNT call up at age 43. Partnered with Aaron Long and 95-year-old Tim Ream.
Bring him back.
I'll take a 95-year-old Tim Ream.
Please, yeah. So I'm gonna go with Gaga and goal. On the left back, I'm going John Tolkien. Ooh, that's right. John Tolkien's a baller, man. CCV and Richards in the middle. At right back, I'm thinking Joe Scally progresses ahead of Dest because Dest is still up and down as a defender. So I'm not sold on him. Yeah, midfield three the same, but I can see McKinney being dropped as a replacement and Aronson going in the middle if he progresses well at Leeds. And then my front three, Pulisic, Pepe, and Reyna on the right, or Weah. You know, I think the front three, like I said, we were the second youngest team in the group. There's plenty of hype there. But yeah, like I said, the best part about this is you got people who we've never even seen, who are going to break in a year and a half, 2 years, and they're going to be unbelievable. I mean, Kevin Paredes at Wolfsburg is still somebody to keep an eye on, right? When he came from DC United. You know, you've got players like Sam Vines who broke his leg. He might have been here if Sam Vines didn't break his leg the month before. Eric Palmer Brown, if he can kick things up, he might be in the mix. Paul Bassett returning to Colorado, gets in a bit of form, makes a better move. Brendan Vasquez, if he picks U.S. over Mexico, right? Jordy Mihailovic, who I can't believe didn't get brought in. Pefok still on the outside looking in. I mean, the pool is so much deeper than it used to be, which is a great issue to have. But all these players playing at a level above Greg, we need to be able to deal with that.
I think also something you have to recognize is how good our youth national teams have been in, like, not just in like CONCACAF. They've been crushing European teams.
Yep.
It's nuts.
Yeah, and it's not even close. I mean, you say crushing, it's literally like 4-1, 5-1.
Like I tell that to people like who, you know, we've got World Cup on in the background, and like people are like, oh yeah, US isn't that great. I'm like, listen, like, go look at what the youth teams are doing. Like, we're on the come up. Like, it's no joke.
The future is bright. We're gonna have a lot of tough decisions to make. It's exciting. It's an exciting time to be there. Where, again, conversations we've had, but to support Mexico. Sorry, Pexico. You shouldn't be excited. You shouldn't be hyped. You have 0 players. Your best players coming through the pipeline are dual nationals that we're trying to poach, or you're trying to poach from us. That's not a great look. Sorry. All right, shall we move on? I think we're running a little long here.
All right, sure.
We could talk about this all day.
We could. It could be the whole episode.